We have a shocking Giannis Antetokounmpo update as following their unfortunate start to the season. Rumors are starting to escalate surrounding Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo being frustrated with the front office, frustrated with Doc Rivers, and some rumors are starting to circulate that his time in Milwaukee may be coming to an end. So we're going to break down those wild rumors and discuss what it could mean going forward for the Milwaukee Bucks. But before we get into it, quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. If you're a part of the 80 or so percent who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. But obviously the Bucks haven't gotten off to a great start whatsoever. They do play tonight, but rumors are starting to flare surrounding Giannis and his future in Milwaukee. And this is, as Bucks fans, we're not shy to this, but Giannis has been, in trade talks, in free agency, leaving talks before he signed his prior extension for years now. However, it does seem a little bit different this time. We know that Giannis and Drew were very close, and ultimately the front office decided to ship Drew off to get a star in Damian Lillard. And it seems like there's been some friction so far between Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But some reports have started to come out that are a little bit concerning. So this one dropped about 20 minutes ago as of recording, and this is from Sports Writer. It says Giannis Antetokounmpo could force his way out of Milwaukee. There's a rising sense of confidence that if things go badly in Milwaukee, that Giannis could be available for trade, would really force his way out of Milwaukee in the next year. Now again, take all these reports with a grain of salt. None of this is coming from Shams or anything like that. That being said, there is some other multiple reports that kind of coincide with what is being said here that I will show you in a minute. But it's very interesting. And heading into the season, last season was very disappointing. We kind of contributed to injuries to Dame, to Giannis. They got eliminated by the Pacers in the first round. They didn't have Giannis, all these different things. That being said, things have seemed a little bit different since they traded away Jrue Holiday and got Damian Lillard in. He hasn't seemed as engaged in the games, Giannis. He hasn't seemed quite as happy as he once was with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, it's still unknown whether or not, the front office talked with Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis, talked with Giannis about potentially moving Drew before it happened, all these things. We're never probably going to know those things. However, it seems like he isn't too happy, and there's a ton of different reports here. But this is a little bit wild because, again, we're only 3 or 4 games into the season, and we're at the point now where these talks are already being had. We're less than 5 games into the year, and there's already Giannis Antetokounmpo trade talks. I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to trade Giannis unless he demands a trade at this deadline. And if things continue to go the way they're going, obviously we know the Cavs are 5-0, and there's some other teams that are playing very well. The Bucks play the Cavs twice in the next couple of weeks. So if things continue to be really bad, maybe these talks will continue. They're not going to go away anytime soon. Other teams are going to be calling on Giannis. If the situation gets bad, things are going to get worse for Bucks fans. You can see this here, another article dropped. Why Giannis Antetokounmpo Bucks' future is being called into question amid the ugly start. Teams are circling. And this is a report from an NBA executive, basically. And we know the Bucks are 1-3. A daunting schedule awaits them over the next 10 days. And the fleeting idea of hope that it's too soon to panic in such a young season doesn't fit their growing confidence. And Doc Rivers is another thing. He's been scrutinized so far heavily this season. We know we talked about last season how the team doesn't have an identity, and then he came out and said the same thing after last game's loss, which after being here for 30-plus games, he should be able to fix that by now. But this is the interesting part. All of this could lead exactly to the place the Bucks organization most fears. Giannis Antetokounmpo in another team's jersey. And an executive from a Western Conference team said teams are circling and hopeful. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened by the trade deadline, said a top executive of a team that could be in the mix. An Eastern Conference NBA executive has already heard the places believed to be Giannis's would-be preferred destinations. The teams I've heard are Miami, New York, and the Nets. Not the Knicks. New York Nets, again, not the Knicks. So, we know that the Knicks gave up their, King's ransom in a trade for Mikal Bridges. They're definitely not going to be able to make a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade because the Bucks are going to want maximum amounts of first-round picks. That being said, this is very concerning. This just dropped. This is surrounding multiple executives. So this is teams around the league that are trying to gauge interest. Now, whether they're trying to do this to scare the Bucks, to scare, fans, whatever it is, gain leverage in trade talks, it's interesting. But for an executive to say, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened by this year's trade deadline is very interesting. And I've seen a lot of fans out there kind of wanting the Bucks to blow it up already. Now, I don't think they meant blow it up in the sense of get rid of Giannis. They probably meant get rid of Dame or things like that, but they just brought in Dame. And to think about where we went from when they had Jrue Holiday, we won the championship in 2021, and then from there, 3 years later now, we're debating not that the Bucks are debating it, but the reports are coming out that the Bucks are considering trading Giannis Antetokounmpo amidst the worst start to the season in a very long time. It's very concerning and it's very uneasy because as long as Giannis is on this team, the Bucks will always be a threat to make the playoffs, will always be a threat in the East. However, this is the least of a threat they've been in a handful of years, and some of that could be Doc Rivers' fault. You see here, they tell me it's up to Doc now, that they're going to wait 20 games and then see what Doc wants. It sounds like it's a mess. As for Giannis trade, he had a fuel to the fire himself a few weeks ago. When talking to The Athletic Sam Amick, he alluded to the idea of being traded if things go badly this season. If we don't win this year, would you get fired? The Bucks star asked the staffer. We remember that. I covered it on the channel. Do you have it in the back of your mind? Like, what if this year doesn't go well? Yeah, if we don't win a championship, I might get traded. This is the job we live. This is the world we're living in. It's everybody. And we remember he made those comments a few weeks back before the season started, and we didn't really think anything of it at the time. That being said, it came out, and now these things are starting to come out. That's 3 different reports now. Could force a way out of Milwaukee, and this was another one. I don't know how much this one is kind of just like grapevine talk. I'm not entirely sure that it's fully legit. It's not from a fully notable reporter. That being said, it says sources close to the situation indicate the tension could be rising in Milwaukee. Giannis and Drew were extremely close, and he is still upset he wasn't consulted for the trade. Doc Rivers also has not clicked with the Stars since being hired. Pressure everywhere. So that dropped yesterday, following by this report today, following by this report, which is from front office executives saying that, hey, the Milwaukee Bucks they wouldn't be surprised if Giannis is traded before the deadline or at the deadline. So it's not good. And you look at the schedule ahead, they play the Grizzlies tonight, they play Cleveland back-to-back. Now, if they go ahead and they win the next 5 games, or they go 7-3 in their next 10, these talks will probably quiet down. However, they have a very tough schedule. If they go out and they go 1-4, and they start the season something like 2-9, 2-8, 2-10, these talks are only going to continue to escalate. They're only going to get worse. And there is a real world at this point where Giannis Antetokounmpo is being shopped at this year's deadline. If things completely go haywire, they don't have much room. They don't have much draft capital. They don't have much cap space. So if they think their only option to completely retool this team, they already won their championship in 2021, but now they need to look ahead and move on. If that is the case and they're struggling and they're really bad by the deadline, could lead to a blockbuster trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. And it's a little bit crazy to be saying that. That being said, there's other points saying, like, almost all national Bucks analysts talking about their starting lineup being old, not about their bench being obliterated. Their starting unit's been fine, their bench has been destroyed. And yeah, when looking at the Bucks' struggles, rebounding, defense, and the bench has been absolutely horrific. They have no help. Bench units with Giannis have been horrible. When Giannis and Dame aren't on the floor together, they have basically minimal offense. It's almost only Dame and Giannis that are able to score the ball at this point. Gary Trent hasn't been able to score the ball. Taurean Prince hasn't been able to score the ball. It's been a disaster. The bench has been horrible. That being said, and the silver lining in all this is, they've been without Chris Middleton the whole time. They haven't been with Chris Middleton. So maybe when he comes back, that'll change the vibe of the team and change the light. But for now, this Giannis Antetokounmpo situation is getting very scary, very, very fast. So let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on this. Do you think it's all just smoke, or do you think there's a real chance that they rebuild and trade Giannis at the deadline? Let me know. See you guys later.